Welcome and thank you for stopping by CryptoCoinMindSet. This video is from the Free State Bitcoin Digital Asset Conference that took place in New Hampshire on October 12th, 2025. And in this video, we're going to be listening to Joël Valenzuela as he talks about the current level and the future level of the digital economy. Let's get into the video.
Buy an actual good or service ever. That's like what, 2/3 of this room? Now who's done this? Who's done this in the last year? That's almost everyone, which is good. Again, some people are like, oh, 5 years ago I did one time. What about in this last month? Who's done something in this last month? Got a few people. What about the last week? 4 or 5, something like that. What about over this weekend?
Not yet.
There's a few. This is the New Hampshire advantage is this is an outsized sample size. It's better than most places I've been. So kudos to that. But we have to realize Bitcoin started in 2009. That's a long time ago, 16 years ago. We created the perfect alternative to the old financial and money system, and we still have a lot of progress to make before this becomes real money for us, for our everyday purposes. And so basically the big overview of this whole thing is I really think we need to transition to a fully digital cash economy. That's kind of the goal. I'm going to kind of explain what the evolution of money, kind of where it goes to, where we are going to now, the missing link on how do we get there, and there you go. So let's dive into this, assuming this thing works. There we go. So let's start back here. There's so many financial nerds in here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people with actually that's not how. Okay, big picture though. So you have you have barter and all that stuff, but eventually you settle on precious metals, and as a scarce money that you can trade for goods and services. Now the innovation of gold coins is you got to add a trade clearing mechanism to that, to where now you have printed on this is how much it's worth, this is the size, the weight, whatever. This is the mint, so you can tell you can trust this amount. And so then no one needs to get out their scales and weigh this whole thing, which I have seen people in the Free State do, by the way. Nothing wrong with that. But all the information to finish a trade is right on that thing. So you can carry a gold coin in your pocket, here you go, and it's over. So that's good, but money evolves. So we go to paper bills. Now, we start to see a positive and a negative evolution happen at the same time, where the positive evolution is now you don't have to have a bag full of gold coins weighing down your pants everywhere you go. You don't have to split off a little hair, like a gram of gold to pay for something. Now you just have some easy, very portable, lightweight mechanism for paying with your sound money. But where it diverges to is that isn't gold. That is a representation, a silver certificate, gold certificate, whatever it is, it's a representation of the actual thing that's held by someone else. So you do have to trust an institution not only to hold your money for you, but you have to trust them that their representation also works. So we're starting to get that divergence where it's starting to become a lot more efficient, but we're starting to make some trade-offs. So now we go to cards, basically digital fiat payments as they were today, where now you have like money in the bank supposedly, and you can pay for things. I mean, who's ever read out a credit card over the phone, by the way? Just, anyone ever done that? Yeah,
Yep.
Even I've done that at some point back in the day. So it becomes so much more efficient because you don't have to carry a stack of denominations or anything. You just use it and you pay, and you can do it digitally. So much better. Again, evolution, but also devolution in a certain way. In that now, first of all, there's no actual money behind the money. There's no precious metals. It's fiat currency by government dictate. And then it's in a bank, but it's not even in a bank. There's a small fractional reserve, or actual maybe no reserve in the bank.
Right.
And there's also kind of an identity tied to that, where your name is on that account, your name is on that card. If someone doesn't like you, your ability to use your money goes away, if the right people do. So we have maximum efficiency so far, but also maximum dependency. Not good. Now we go on to Bitcoin. Now, for the purposes of this, I'm describing kind of like the current state of Bitcoin, maybe not necessarily the founding. And I know there's so many crypto holy wars that could happen, but I'm just going purely on the sort of technological standpoint of Bitcoin as a digital gold. So basically, you have this kind of gold-like thing, this scarce, decentralized asset that no one controls, that you can custody yourself, digital sound money. But you have some improvements over gold. Notably, you can carry it a lot easier, and you can transact, you can move it from vault to vault a lot more efficiently. But also, you can kind of audit the entire supply in real time. Anyone who runs a node can just see all the Bitcoins in existence. You can kind of audit the supply. And whenever you do digital representations of it somehow on some other, say, either a blockchain or like a company custodies this or whatever, you can say, we have all your money, here it is, look at it, anyone can see it. So that is a massive improvement over things. Now, the technology is going up, but then the trusted third parties part is getting better too. Now, we're starting to evolve to the next level, where still you can, just like you can pay someone in gold coins or whatever, you can still pay people directly in real on-chain Bitcoin. But typically, people don't. Typically, people use, a lot of times, a trusted third party to pay for it, whether it's a custodial Lightning wallet, whether it's they sell it for something in their bank account, you still have a bank account. There's a lot of that kind of thing. So the next evolution is represented by something like Bitcoin Cash or the original Bitcoin vision. You can call this white paper Bitcoin as well, but just for the purposes of this journey, we're going to go there. So this is all the same basic stuff of like a digital cash, of a digital gold type thing, but you can also send and receive it to people without, for the whole world, all users can basically use it without trusting an intermediary to do the actual transaction. I can just give me an address, scan a QR code, whatever, send it to you, it goes right to you, and then that works. Now, there are, again, it's still evolving here. There are still some things that are maybe lacking before this becomes something that everyone is using. And if everyone's using, of course, every hand in this room would have gone up on all those questions, right? We're trying to get there. Now, in order to say, is this a finalized payment? Can you trust it? Is it over? Typically, you have to wait 10 minutes or whatever, or there are some specific things that can say, okay, well, I think we can trust the payment, but you're starting to introduce other things. And then how can I, and completely lost my train of thought on that one. Blame the sandwiches. Yes, as in how do I transact with you? It's like, okay, well, send me an address. How do I send the address? Let me send it on Twitter DMs or something, okay? Is this the right address? Let me check. Like, there's a lot of inefficiency in that spot, and you're using another app to do it. So we're starting to evolve to the next sort of level, right? So this is what I would call like 2016 to 19 era Dash kind of thing, where you have, again, you're building on that same decentralized network, limited supply. Everyone, you can just send right to people. You don't need to trust a third party to send. But then you also have instant transaction finality. You don't have to trust anyone for. You send to someone and it's up. You don't have to be like, well, let me see if your node implementation is calculating a double spend proof, and while we wait long enough, there's none of that stuff. Built-in privacy features as well. Again, an improvement. We're talking about evolution here. Things are evolving. Still, you copy an address, you scan a QR code, someone has to message you on, like text message you an address or something else. There's things in between that our social layer doesn't keep track of. Also, if you look at your wallet, you see a big list of transactions. Oh, and if you didn't write a note about that somewhere else, you're gonna be like, who is that I paid? it looks kind of like a rent-like amount, but I did buy a new computer. I can't remember because I wrote it somewhere else. So now we get to sort of the next level, which is recently, and this is exemplified in the Dash Evolution upgrade, there are other cryptocurrencies that are sort of working up around the edges of this, but now you're starting to add in, you can register a username on the blockchain. You can add someone as a friend, as a contact on the blockchain, to where you don't have to rely on a third-party company, anything like that, to just keep track of any of that for you, to where you can just, at the actual network level, pay someone and it just works. And all that other stuff is abstracted. And I think this is pretty good. But I'm also here to say it's not good enough, otherwise we would already be there. Next thing, this is one of the big problems we have today, which is what I call like the split economy. Who here earns fiat currency, meaning dollars or something else? Just about everyone, including a lot of these people that spend crypto. So right now, if you're trying to say, like I am, like, oh, you should use decentralized freedom money, I'm essentially telling you by doing that, you need to take your fiat money there, and you need to buy cryptocurrency of some kind with it, and then you need to at some point spend it to someone who's then going to sell it for fiat currency again. And so you kind of have this, it wants to just go fiat to fiat. But now because you believe, or at least I do, at least you believe in freedom money, sound money, all this, you have this thing in between, this inefficiency, but it's going to be very resistant to have a circular economy at this stage. So, here's the interesting thing, stablecoins, and I had fun making this. You would not believe how quickly ChatGPT got this image exactly what I wanted it to. It's actually pretty cool. But stablecoins have changed a lot of things. After the big block size wars of like 2017, the crypto's money movement still kept going, but it sort of stalled out a little bit. And now the vast majority of crypto payments, the momentum especially I should say, is in stablecoins, which are digital representations of dollars and euros sometimes, but mostly dollars. And so this has sort of taken over, like if you look at all the payment processor, all the statistics, everything, you will see this trend. And Congress passed the Genius Act that was signed into law, has some good, has some bad. Basically, it's all going in this direction, and that's sort of the easiest, laziest way of doing things, because you're like, oh, I can use the crypto world and I get to just be still using dollars at the same time. It's like a bridge. But here's the thing, it's at the same time a digital bridge of the old world to the new world, the bad world to the good world, I guess, at the same time as it's also a Trojan horse in the other direction. So one thing that's made it a lot easier is now it's a lot easier for people to get into crypto, because there's a lot of ways you could get and access stable coins a lot easier than you would real crypto. And then once you're in there, the actual path to getting to what you want is so much easier. So in some ways this has been good. But also, somehow the crypto as cash movement kind of got turned into a let's start using dollars again movement. And that's where the Trojan horse is. So we have to take the good that came with this, but also realize that can't be complacent, because otherwise we get stuck back using dollars, back using a bank-like entity that can censor our transactions and surveil them at all times. So what's the next thing? An integrated economy. So the reason why, again, I'm glossing over, this could be an 8-hour lecture or something like that, glossing over big things. But one of the reasons why everyone still earns and spends dollars for the most part is because that's what they earn, and that's what they earn, and that's what their expenses require. And so when it's integrated, it has more of a chance to all stay sort of in the same channel. So, for example, if you use a crypto economy or something like that, when you send a crypto token, that's in the gas fees to send these are denominated in the unit of whatever the blockchain uses. So if you're integrated into a crypto economy, everything that you spend and save, it's all in the same blockchain rails, it's all in the same system. You don't go in and out to dollars all the time. The only reason you do is because if you have to have real world expenses. So kind of, that's kind of the future that we're going to, is a full digital cash economy where, first of all, we earn directly in decentralized digital assets, and then we spend in decentralized digital assets that then whoever we give those to then go pay for their own expenses in decentralized digital assets, and we keep the circular economy going. Now, there's been a lot of efforts, a lot of progress in creating localized circular economies where, like, ParkFest, for example, that's a great way of experiencing this, where then you go pay for something with crypto to a vendor, the vendor will then pay someone else, and it just all stays in that, and you don't make that jump to crypto a lot. It's still kind of like an intentional forced bootstrap, but it's a great start. But where I think we really see things take off is where we have our goods and services that we require, like all be on digital rails. So for example, when you start to have the title to your house is on a blockchain, and there's a decentralized marketplace for non-fungible tokens or whatever for your property deeds on a blockchain. And then, because it runs on crypto, you can pay crypto for your house. And then your house deed is on a crypto blockchain that takes crypto gas fees to move. And so now you're kind of in that whole thing. So even if you sell your house for fiat, someone is going to buy crypto in order to move those digital tokens and interact with that, for example. Or you store data on a decentralized network that then, in order to, when you run a business, say like a social media site, all your data is on a decentralized blockchain. So even if someone paid, for subscription services to something, even if they paid in fiat, that business owner would then have to buy some crypto in order to use it, in order to actually pay their own bills. So therefore they give a discount to just accept crypto directly, and then that's their income, and they can go there to the local donut store and pay with crypto there. That's the engine that we need to really bootstrap this digital cash economy, is when we start having goods and services that are decentralized and digital, that we're paying for, that are income for us and also expenses for us. And that's what's really the missing piece of the digital cash economy, the circular economy we're trying to do. That's how we actually move away from fiat currency and start living on something decentralized and sound that can't be shut down. So with that, I'd be more than happy to take any and all questions. I also always throw this at the very end of things because you can sort of get pretty close to the digital cash economy if you live, and especially as this is mostly a US-based crowd, this gets a little bit more simple, but bill pay. You can pay all your bills in crypto, your rent, your mortgage, your car payment, your credit cards, whatever. You can pay it. Spritz is really good. Zipto also works in the US. Swap it is for the Europeans. So if anyone is in the Euro using part of Europe can use that. And you could travel with Travala. That's my favorite site to use. I pay for all my travel around the world. The gift cards are a very good kind of go-between where you just, for example, go buy something on Amazon. At checkout, you open a new tab, go to BitRefill, buy Amazon gift card for exactly the amount and you plug it in. It works great. Now, for the best spending experience, I recommend the Dash wallets, which are down at the bottom, that have a lot of these spending features baked right into the wallet itself, to where you can say, oh look, there's a Chipotle 3 blocks from me, I'm gonna go there. Oh look, let me put in 587, boom, I got the thing. You scan it under the barcode and you pay. And so you only have non-crypto exposure for like 5-10 seconds, and then there you go. So obviously telling people how to completely debank themselves and completely live all in crypto could take a while, but this is the cheat sheet that gets you at least halfway there if you screenshot it and all the QR codes, etc. And yeah, so that's it. Time for questions. I'm sure people have some.
Any way to avoid avoid, some hotels require that you use crypto. I mean, not crypto, have a credit card. I know you've had issues in the past staying in hotels. Any way around that?
So specifically about hotels?
Right.
Yes. So for example, if you book through a site like for Travala, for example, you can just book a hotel room and it's fine. Typically, sometimes they will ask for something for incidentals. There are some, I find some like anon single use crypto cards I can get and put on my watch, and then just scan that at the terminal there, and then they put like a hold of like $100 a night or whatever, and then you're good. And then that gets kind of redone. So you don't need a bank account or KYC to do all that. Is that supposed to answer the question?
Can you make some recommendations for wallets to use? I'm still on Coinbase because I'm scared to mess up and like, lose my crypto by my own doing,
So start small, down at the bottom, get one of the Dash wallets there, depending on if you're a righteous Android user or an evil, wicked iPhone user. Pick what you want. And then it's a great way to experiment with just sending, receiving, all that kind of stuff. But then the spend feature does let you kind of experiment with buying in kind of a very enclosed environment where you don't have to juggle different apps. Be like, oh, let me open the refill app and then figure out how to spend there. And it should be pretty straightforward. As always, just you can feel free to reach out to me for like, it didn't work, where's the button? Like, noob questions are more than welcome. But there's a spend feature in there. There's a map that says where can you spend, and then pick something that has a self-checkout to start out with, so you won't be embarrassing yourself in front of a bunch of people in case you're not fast enough at it, but then go for it. Yes, another follow-up?
Do you hold most of it there? Do you have a separate hold for that?
Yes, there are. Typically, if you want like life-changing money that you have, that's typically used in like a cold storage, like any mainstream hardware wallet, like a Trezor or a Ledger, or I'm a fan of one called Tangent these days because it comes with a pack of 3 like NFC cards.
Tangent is the best.
One, and then with your password again. If you lose a card, you can tap the other 2 to restore it. It works pretty well. And so that's for bigger things. But like, if you have it on Coinbase, for example, right now, and you figured out how not to lose it, at least until they try to steal it from you, for now, not that they will, but I found that the biggest thief is people losing their own money. So, do you learn how to deal with it? Write down your 12 or 24 words somewhere with pen and paper, and try restoring it into some other wallet too, to make sure you still get it back, to make sure you've written it down right, just make sure you're familiar and comfortable with that, and then the bigger things. All right, who's next? I see Steve had his hand. Did you have your hand up first?
Okay.
I think you did, and then we'll go with Steve.
How do you buy gasoline for your car with crypto?
So the answer always changes over the years because things do change. What I do most is there's a Walmart right next to me that has a gas pump, and in that Dash app you can get like 2.5% discount on like a Walmart gift card. You plug into the Walmart Pay app, scan the QR code there, they give you an extra couple cents off for using their app. So you save like, I don't know, 5 cents on a gallon, and then there you go. That's the most common way of doing things. There are a lot of different, that's the best way probably locally. There are a bunch of like Shell, for example, and a whole bunch of other places also have gift cards that have their own app that you can pay like that. And so that's probably the most straightforward way of doing it at this point, unless you find one that takes it directly, which we're working on that, right? I believe there's an interesting app called Flexa, which is integrated into some wallets, such as like the Zashi Zcash wallet, for example. And wherever there's a Sheetz gas station, you can just pay right with that. So for people who are in areas there's a Sheetz gas station, the Flexa app is really good for, or the Flexa integration in apps is really good for that.
So as a business person that takes crypto, there's this big disconnect between receiving it and then being able to put it into our account for our accountant. In other words, we have to have the cash on hand out of my wallet to put into the business to keep it in my personal crypto account. How do you manage that? Is there a better way to do that?
Yeah, this is where we're getting like, this is an unprecedented time too, where we have so many different digital assets, and like usually businesses just have one currency, and now that it's a little bit interesting. There's different ways of doing that. I do know some business owners who don't have fiat or bank accounts for their business, even keep it all on crypto, and they just have some good tax accountants to just sort of figure everything out like that. So I know it can be done. I haven't, personally gotten too much into that, since I basically run myself as like a single owner operator or LLC, and just kind of deal with it like that. LFS Tax out of Manchester and Plymouth should be pretty good at that if you local. So I know I've used them. They're pretty good with that stuff. So I would talk to them. A good thing, of course, is like if you can receive in crypto, convert to like a stable coin, for example. This is for the people who just aren't ready to do this at all, right? The first step. And then whenever you want to pay yourself, then you take that personal risk by then you swap the stable coins to whatever crypto you personally want when you pay yourself. And then that's all the personal stuff, and the business stays on purely dollar accounting. That might be something that really helps for the people that don't have all this like financial wizardry. It's on my homework list of things to look into, or the best sort of like tax and accounting tools that are automated, that aren't just like, oh, pay the tax accountant to figure it all out for you. It's more like it auto calculates everything. Because at the end of the day, a lot of this is more of like an annoying math thing than it is like an actual, you can't do it. It's like you can do it, but just the accounting becomes a nightmare if you don't have it all figured out. One thing that I do like on the personal level, right, about these wallets, right, is they have a CSV export feature, so you can export all your transactions that have the cost basis of what it was when you got it and what it was when you spent it, and also has an integration into a company called Zen Ledger, which just automates it all for you. So that's very useful on the personal level if you use that for personal spending. I'm sure you could just have like if you had a different phone for your business, and you just use that, and I'm sure that could be potentially helpful if you just use like one currency. But again, usually as a crypto business, you accept a few different ones, so that's where it's getting a little bit dicier. But there are going to very soon be a few different ways that you can use fully decentralized exchange rails, so that anyone can pay you in any crypto you want, but you only get the one that you want to be holding. And then that just one asset is just a lot simpler to deal with. So hopefully things get a lot easier pretty soon.
I hope you found that video educational. Don't forget, links to the Free State Bitcoin Digital Asset Conference, its sponsors, and the people you saw on this video are in the description, so go ahead and check them out. And head over here for the entire playlist from the Free State Bitcoin Digital Asset Conference, and I will see you there.